Well, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, depending on when you're watching this. And welcome to another edition of Crossroads Community News. I'm joined alongside by Pastor Mick Kevill, as always. And without further ado, I'm going to throw it over to you, Mick.
So what I want to talk about today, Cooper, is go back to our vision statement. It says that we want to be a place of joy, discovery, hope, and healing. I want to go back to the word discovery. What are some things that we need to incorporate and also kind of avoid with regard to discovery? And the first thing we need to incorporate, I would say, is to have an inquiring mind or an inquisitive mind. You think that's something that you can resonate with?
Yes.
Or we can learn about?
Absolutely. I think that's awesome because honestly, a lot of people who are my age and my generation, they have never come into a church before in the first place. They don't really know what goes on here. They've heard stories. They've kind of seen people who have said they're Christians, and so they base a lot of what they think about who Jesus is on what they've seen from them. But a lot of people are being told that they just kind of get to live out their own truth. And so a lot of people, it sounds nice, but that doesn't really actually sit well with them, and they are looking for truth. And the fact that we here at Crossroads get to be a place where people can discover that truth is awesome, but it also means that we're going to have a lot of people coming in the doors who are inquisitive, and that can be a great thing if the mind itself is what's critical. Where we get ourselves into trouble, though, is when our spirit becomes critical, and that's when we can get into some dangerous territory. So why don't you talk more about that?
Well, another thing along with that is that inquisitive mind is going to look in a variety of places to get that inquisitive nature satisfied. And if we're not providing truthful information, what we want to make sure is that a person who has an inquisitive mind can also have somewhat of what I call a critical mind. A mind that's trying to discern, okay, where's truth and where's error, where's good and where's evil in all of this, and is this God, and how does that affect me, and how do my actions affect others? There's a lot of ways in which having a mind that's critical, another word we could use is discerning.
Yes.
That discerns the right path to take, the right truth to talk about, and how to discover and evaluate life as it's going by. But as you said, there is a bit of a danger to go to that point of having not a critical mind, but a critical spirit.
Right.
And that's where we kind of put our mind, our critical mind, on some sort of pedestal and use it to, evaluate and be critical of others in our spirit. Mm-hmm. So that implies something about the opinions of ourselves.
Right.
And what's the danger there?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Honestly, we become inflated and we start to think that our opinion is the only one that matters because we're always right. And so a lot of us, if you end up with that critical spirit, it can make you very arrogant. You can start to demand your own way in a lot of things. You leave less room for other people to share their own opinions. What are some other ways?
Well, it can lead, obviously, to division as we look at others with this kind of critical spirit. And instead of trying to, figure out, listen, and to interpret and keep that inquisitive mind going, we shut down the inquisitive mind and just want to promote our own spirit, that kind of lack of humility. And lack of humility is a sure way to shut down any kind of productive relationships. And I think another thing that ends up coming through it is what we are passionate about. When we have a critical we can still remain, passionate about things. But often when we get to the point of having a critical spirit, we don't really care about anything other than our own opinion, and there's a kind of a callousness that can come with that. So there's things that I would say is one of the ways that discovery can really work for us here at Crossroads is recognizing that the younger generation really cares about what older folks like us know because of experience. They want to have good relationship. But if we've gotten over to the point of having a critical spirit, it's very likely that our arrogance or any kind of divisiveness is likely to kind of shut down that inquisitive mind and send them looking in other places where they're not necessarily going to get the truth about who God is and what our place in this world is and what God's purposes are for us. So
absolutely.
Now, one of the great things about it, this coming weekend, we've got somebody from their own generation who's going to be talking about truth that we know has been discerned from the scripture in the book of Colossians. And so, Coop, what are you excited about what's coming up this week?
So this week we are going to be talking a lot about prayer. Okay, so this is going to be the main theme for this week. The section we look at in Colossians is a prayer that Paul is actually praying for this group at the church in Colossae. And so honestly, I would just encourage you to get a head start, because I'm going to be challenging you to be more in prayer more often. So why don't you just get a head start now and start praying for that service, and start praying for people who might be coming in with an inquisitive mind and a critical mind, that people wouldn't have a critical spirit, and that other people would come and that they would hear about the good news about Jesus, because we get into the gospel again at the end of the passage there, because that's really what Paul always brings it back to. And so it's so good. So make sure you're praying for people, that they would be able to understand it, that their hearts would be softened to it, and that they would be able to truly have their life changed by Jesus this Sunday. So
exciting stuff.
It's good stuff.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, I think that'll do it again for this week. As always, it's good to see you, and this has been CCN, and we will see you later.